everybody, and happy hump day. I hope your week is going smoothly, whether you're joining us live or catching up on the replay. I am Terry True Crime, and welcome to Midday Missing, where we bring much needed attention to current missing person cases, giving a voice to those who need it most. Now, I want to welcome everybody to the true crime and wine time community, whether you're new here or you're a longtime follower of our podcast or one of our other shows. We are thrilled to have you here. At True Crime and Wine Time Productions, we are much more than a podcast. And to be honest, when JT and I decided to pair up and become co host on True Crime and Wine Time, the podcast, I never imagined that we would go into a full production group and have multiple shows. Now, our lineup includes a wide range of shows. Like we have the Hey Ho show, which, guys, is gut busting funny, in my opinion. We also have the investigation into the disappearance of Chase Lackey, Night Court, the transcripts, Women on Death Row, Midday Missing, where we are now, and which I like to think of as our highly anticipated new series. Maybe it's just me that's highly anticipating it, but Dearest Mother's Darkest Secrets. It will premiere October 2nd for all subscribers, and it premieres on September 24th for our paid channel members. Please note, Dearest Mother's Darkest Secrets will only stream on YouTube due to its dark content and will not be available on Facebook. So, we stream live multiple times a week. So, if you haven't yet, hit that subscribe button on our YouTube channel. It's totally free. And starting next month, some of our shows will be exclusively on YouTube. However, as I've said the last couple of episodes, Midday Missing will continue to stream on both YouTube and Facebook. So you're going to want to subscribe now to stay updated on all of the exciting content we have coming your way. Now, for those that are paid channel members, we have exclusive content coming just for you. There will be a happy hour coming up soon. There's going to be a Q&A with JT and his dad. And then we will have a Q&A where either my oldest son or one of my besties will be on, and you will get to ask questions. I will tell you guys, makes me a little nervous, but it's going to be fun. So, and I do have a quick PSA for everybody watching. I recently got a message from someone asking if I always drink wine while working on Midday Missing. And guys, my first thought was like, wait, what? So I asked them what made them think that. And they pointed out that I'm often sipping from a stemless wine glass. And I thought, fair point. But here's the deal. While I do drink from a stemless wine glass, it is actually sparkling water because I love HEB sparkling water. And I prefer using my plastic stemless glass because I'm not a fan of drinking out of cans. And I find it's much harder for me to knock this over when I'm live streaming or researching or working on scripts. And so, no, I'm not sipping wine during the workday. I'm just staying hydrated. And as my best friend would say, I'm just being extra because I'm that way. I'm extra. And I wanted to, before we dive into today's missing person cases, I wanted to take a moment to thank our incredible mods. You all do a fantastic job keeping our chat community safe and welcoming. And I appreciate every one of you. I know JT, Llama, Rudy, they all appreciate it when you're on with them as well. Because without you guys, it just would be a madhouse because we unfortunately do get trolls just like everybody else. I don't know if we should call them trolls or keyboard. I don't know. They're just not great people sometimes. But I also wanted to give a special shout out to Angie. Girl, your dedication is amazing. She is always sending us important missing person cases to cover here on Midday Missing, as well as sending us other interesting cases for True Crime and Wine Time, for the transcripts, Night Court. I have to say, Angie, I think, has her pulse on everything and is so gracious and shares it all with us. And Angie, I appreciate it so much because you find some really good dark cases. And if you've been around for a while with True Crime and Wine Time, I have a tendency to go to the dark cases. What can I say? I also want to say, if you have a loved one who is missing, or if there's a missing person case in your community that you would like us to highlight here on Midday Missing, you can email us at middaymissing at tcwtmedia.com. And if you are a family member and you want to come on to the show, we would be, grateful and appreciative. So please let us know that if you reach out to us. So now we're going to get started, and I'm going to tell you this first case is hella old and hella shocking. Okay. I'm just going to say hella shocking to me. So I want to tell you, and I'm going to also say, I really like this young lady's name. Her name is Mikelle Biggs. So January 2nd of this year marked 25 years since the disappearance of 11-year-old Mikelle Diane Biggs. Guys, I want you to stop and think about that. 25 years of not knowing what happened to your child, your sister, your loved one. I cannot put my brain around that. I can't. I try to stop and think back 25 years and how I just can't. So I believe that 25 years makes it even more heartbreaking. And guys, Mikkel's case is one of the most haunting unsolved mysteries in Arizona's history. Arizona, for those of y'all that are true crime lovers, you know about the Mesa cases and things. Mikkel's case is still unsolved and still horrific. But guys, despite the passage of time, Mikkel's family continues to search for answers, and they are still putting out messages, billboards, hoping for a breakthrough that could finally bring them closure. Because guys, this case has baffled investigators and, just gripped the community at a whole. So, on that fateful day in 1999, Mikelle was last seen outside of her home in Mesa, Arizona. And it was a typical evening with neighborhood children playing and waiting eagerly for the ice cream truck that was often heard making its round. Mikelle and her younger sister, Kimber, were among those waiting, having convinced their mother to give them money for a treat. Guys, I have to tell you, I remember being a kid and you would hear the music from the ice cream truck, and I literally would almost break my neck because, yes, I'm accident prone, running into the house asking for money to make sure I didn't miss the ice cream truck because I loved the fudge bombsicles. If you've not had one, it's the chocolate with banana and chocolate. I think they also have one that's just a bomb that's red, white, and blue. I liked the fudge bomb. So when I started researching this case, I literally could hear the ice cream truck music in my head. Okay, guys, I'm weird, but I know it. But as the sun began to set, Kimber, who was just 9 years old at the time, headed home like a lot of the other kids. But once she walked in the house, her mom was like, oh, where's Mikelle? And of course, Kimber says outside, and her mom was like, nope, go get Mikelle and tell her that it is time to come home. Okay, guys, Kimber was only gone for about 90 seconds, they estimate. And when she returned outside, Mikelle was nowhere to be found. Instead, Kimber found her sister's bicycle lying on its side in the road with the wheel still spinning and her 2 quarters for ice cream on the ground nearby. And every report I read said, other than that bike, it was eerily quiet. All of the children had gone home. Guys, that image of the bike laying on the ground, I can just see those wheels spinning. And I can't imagine what 9-year-old Kimber thought when she saw that. But she did realize that something was terribly wrong, went in to tell her mom, and authorities were immediately called. And guys, police did exactly what they should do. They jumped in feet first, okay? They didn't say, "Oh, maybe she ran away, maybe this, maybe that." They didn't do any of that. A frantic search started immediately. But guys, despite extensive efforts and searches by law enforcement, search teams, volunteers, and the community, there was no trace of Mikelle. Now, they did bring in search dogs, and they were brought in to, go and sniff the area, but the dogs lost her scent just a few feet from where her bike was found. So, guys, that means she was most likely swiftly abducted and placed into a vehicle. Now, on a little side note, I had the pleasure last night in my community emergency response team meeting that we had someone from TXR, which is Texas Search and Rescue Team, and they brought their cadaver dog, Murphy. And I asked some questions about scent and things like that. So, guys, when I say most likely she was put in a car, a dog can find the scent of a person for miles in water if they're buried. So for the scent to totally just stop means they were most likely put into a vehicle and driven off. Now, the investigation initially focused on the possibility that an ice cream truck had been in the area at the time because remember, Mikelle and her sister Kimber were wanting to get an ice cream. But police said they found no evidence of its presence, and every ice cream vendor in the vicinity was questioned and cleared of any involvement. So, guys, that made my brain go down a rabbit hole thinking, was it a person who had a fake ice cream truck and was playing the music? If it wasn't a legitimate person, I mean, I don't know if anyone else has heard the saying petty van or if it's just me when you see those creepy vans, right? I couldn't help but think, was it a fake ice cream truck? Because why else would the kids have money if they didn't hear the music? Okay. Maybe it's just me. Sorry, guys. I took a lot of allergy medication and I am dry, dry, dry. So the days following Mikelle's disappearance were marked, as everybody could imagine, by panic, and the community wanted to find her. Flyers were distributed, searches were organized, and guys, the local media kept her story in the public eye. Okay, which, as we know, that is not always the case. But despite all of this, no substantial leads emerged. Now, as always, false tips and dead end clues came into law enforcement, and they said this only added to their frustration and to the heartache that the family felt. Now, on January 9, just a week after Mikelle went missing, police excavated what appeared to be a freshly dug grave outside of Mesa, but nothing was found. Hypnosis sessions were done with 2 witnesses, also yielded no information. And a copper colored Jeep was reportedly seen near Mikelle's home around the time she vanished. Guys, police worked their little bums off. They found that vehicle, and that driver was located and was ruled out as a suspect. They were not involved. And as the years passed, the case grew cold with no tangible evidence. However, one man has remained a person of interest. Dee Blaylock is a convicted sexual predator who lived just 2 blocks away from Mikelle's home at the time of her disappearance. Guys, that scares me. And I just want to stop and say right here, if you have children, grandchildren like I do, and you let them play outside, please go to the sexual offender database. It's free. Put in your information, see what's around you. Okay. We need to educate ourselves and know if there are people living right next door that are potential predators. Doesn't mean they can come into the area and we not know. I'm just wanting to say, do a little bit of extra due diligence. Now, Blaylock had a history of sexual offenses in multiple states and was on law enforcement's radar from the beginning. Don't know, once again, I say, why can't we pressure people? But I know. In 2001, Blaylock was convicted of raping and attempting to murder a neighbor and is currently serving a 15-and-a-half-year sentence in an Arizona prison. So, guys, I'm not going to go on a rant, but I do want someone to please explain to me how someone who is a sexual predator, and he's a sexual predator, he's on their radar, he's convicted of raping and attempted murder. Why was he only given a 15-and-a-half-year sentence? Why? And I want to know, am I the only one who says that that is not enough of a sentence? Okay. Am I the only one that thinks that? Because he obviously hasn't changed if he was already on your radar and then he did something again. 15.5 years is not enough, in my opinion. Now, Mikelle's parents, who, as we all can understand, are desperate for answers, they visited Blaylock in prison and confronted him directly about their daughter's disappearance. He denied any involvement. Now, his wife has provided him with an alibi, claiming he was in their garage on the night Mikelle went missing. And guys, despite all of these suspicions, Blaylock has never been charged in connection with Mikelle's case. I want to say, was the wife sitting with him the whole time he was in the garage? Because I can tell you, Double H goes out to work in the garage. He can be out there for hours, so I think. And I'm not out there checking on him. So I want to know, is that really considered an alibi? Because unless you're out there with him, how do you know he didn't leave for a little bit? Just not trying to be a conspiracy theorist or, whatever. I'm just stating those are questions that popped into my head. Now, Mikelle's sister, Kimber, who is now 34, still vividly recalls the events on that tragic day. Speaking to ABC 15, she described the haunting memory of finding her sister's abandoned bicycle and the overwhelming sense of dread that followed. For Mikelle's family, the pain of not knowing what happened to Mikelle remains just as sharp today as it did 25.5 years ago. But they continue to hold on to hope that one day they will learn the truth. And in recent years, Mesa Police Department has continued to receive tips, although most have led to dead ends. I read where they said every time it gets featured on the news or anywhere, they do get tips. So I, as I always am hoping someone sees something and calls in a tip. So a new detective was assigned to the case, and it is said that they've reportedly begun focusing on very specific information that they believe could bring new developments. Okay. And this renewed attention has given Michaela's family a little bit more glimmer of hope that there could soon be movement in the case. And I hope so. 25 and a half years is too much. They want to find out what happened to Mikelle and bring her home. Okay. The community of Mesa. And guys, by my research, much of Arizona knows about Mikelle's case. And it is puzzling and frightening to them to think that your child went out with their sister and other neighborhood friends to play, and in 90 seconds, they are gone. That I just I can't. So I am asking if you have any information regarding Mikelle Biggs' disappearance, please contact the Mesa Police Department at 480 644 2211. And guys, as we say all of the time, one simple little tip could lead to the answers that this family has been looking for and deserves. Whoops, guys, I'm having trouble. This is why I am not good at the technology stuff. Um, but like I said, it is okay. I am struggling here, but we will see if I could get this to work. But I want you to think about that one little tip, maybe your ex-husband, maybe a friend's, significant other has made a comment about being a kid in that area playing and they saw something. Any little piece of information could help. So, like I said, please, if you know anything, please call the Mesa Police Department. Now, guys, this next case is more recent, and I am going to just be upfront and tell you I have a lot of questions about this case and how it happened. Um, on May 17th, 2021, which was a normal day, right? But took a devastating and horrific turn for the Larsen family. So, Ryan Larsen and his family lived in La Vista, Nebraska. Ryan was an 11-year-old boy who had autism, ep- epilepsy, and Tourette syndrome. He walked out of La Vista West Elementary School at approximately noon. And guys, he vanished without a trace. So, my first flipping question, I want someone to explain to me how in the hell an 11-year-old is able to just walk out of school without a parent. I know when I go to pick up my granddaughter from school, I have to have my ID, show it to the little camera before I'm even let in the building. The doors are kept locked. And this was just in 2021. And my understanding is a lot of schools are that way because of school shootings. So I want to know how an 11-year-old just walks out of school without a parent, and especially an 11-year-old who suffers from autism, Tourette's, and epilepsy. Why were they not secured in a classroom? So, despite efforts by local authorities, the family, Ryan is still missing today. And guys, this case, like I said, has me asking so many questions about his disappearance. Now, that morning, Ryan's mother, Tammy, dropped him off at school just like every other day. Now, he was excited about the plans they had for that evening, crafting clues for a mystery present they were sending to a friend across the country. Okay, guys, I love everything about that statement. Okay, crafting clues for a mystery present. I want someone to send me a mystery present and craft clues for me. Okay, I want somebody to do that and send it to me. If you need our address, I can send it to you. Now, like I said, something went wrong. At about 12:27 p.m., Tammy received a call from the school saying that Ryan was missing. I cannot imagine what that phone call is like. You think your child is safe at school and that they can't get out of the building. Now, Ryan's mom, Tammy, said he had been experiencing difficulties with a math problem in his class. And part of his IEP, for those of you that are not aware, that is an individualized education plan. And he was allowed to move to another room to calm down. However, during that brief moment when he was moving classrooms, he was left unattended. There was no teacher or adult with him. So, like I said, I don't understand how that can happen. And I also want to know who's accountable for that. Okay. But somehow he walked out of the school. Okay. The school notified police shortly after, but Ryan had already vanished. Now, Ryan had a history of running away, but his previous disappearances were short lived and he was always found nearby. Now, guys, I want to say for those of you that are thinking, oh, well, he has a history of running away. Maybe he ran away. Guys, that's not the point. The point is we drop our children off to school. And especially if they are in special education, they have an IEP and have the issues that he has, he shouldn't have been left unattended to run away. Okay. That's what I'm saying. And because of his history, the police initially focused their search on areas where Ryan had been found in the past. They also looked at local businesses, parks, the apartment complex where he lived, and the playground. Guys, they also searched his grandmother's house because they thought maybe he left and went to his grandmother's house. They found no clues as to what happened to Ryan. Now, Captain DJ Barkle of the La Vista Police Department, who has been deeply involved in this case since the beginning, noted that surveillance footage confirmed Ryan's departure from the school. Okay. I want you to stop. He is on video seen walking out of the school. Now, in the aftermath, in the last couple of years since this disappearance, his mom pursued legal action against Papillon La Vista Community School District. On May 12th, 2023, she filed a petition alleging that the school district and its employees acted in bad faith and used gross misjudgment and were deliberately indifferent to Ryan's needs. Guys, the court dismissed the case, citing a lack of jurisdiction and authority to grant the requested damages. But Ryan's mom was not going to be deterred. Okay. Tammy appealed to the Nebraska Supreme Court, seeking financial damages for the school's negligence and the emotional distress caused by Ryan's disappearance. Guys, that appeal was also denied. In a further attempt to find closure, Tammy filed a petition to have Ryan declared deceased. This motion was also denied. The Larsens' family attorney, Sean Conway, explained that the motion was a strategic legal step as Ryan's death would be presumed after 5 years of his disappearance, allowing them to pursue other legal actions. However, they were trying to do it a little bit sooner. Guys, one thing I've learned since covering missing person cases, if the person is declared deceased, a lot of times it will move to the homicide department. And as we all probably know or assume, homicide cases get looked into a lot more than a missing person case. So Ryan's disappearance has left a significant void in his family life. He was known for his love of Matchbox cars, Army figurines, Legos, and he was a little prankster. So it tells you he was a little spitfire if he was a prankster. And they said that Ryan was a unique and beloved member of their family. His older sister Taylor reminisced about Ryan's playful nature, especially his habit of using a mechanical wind up bug to prank his sisters and teachers. Guys, I love that he was a prankster. All I'm going to say is do not come after me with a snake or a spider because I am deathly scared of them. So, any other wind up bug you can prank me with. Okay. And the family says they are incomplete without Ryan and that the pain of not knowing what happened to Ryan weighs heavily on them. Now, despite the legal setbacks and what I'm going to call failure of our justice system, because I too think the school district should be held accountable. That's just what I think. Now, would I feel different if it was kids changing class and it was normal? I forget what it's called between changing classes and periods. He snuck out. This was during class. Okay. And he was on an IEP. He was allowed to change rooms, but he was supposed to have an adult with him. So, shouldn't that adult who left him unattended be held accountable or at a bare minimum the school district? Now, the family, despite the legal setbacks and the ongoing emotional toll this is taking on them, they are continuing to search. They believe, like I believe, someone out there knows something. And they are hoping that someone will call in with any information they know. They have said Ryan did not just disappear into thin air. And as I often say, and I know y'all are going to say, Terry, stop beating a dead horse, but an alien did not come down and beam him up to Scotty. Somebody had to have seen something or knows something. Now, guys, his disappearance is heartbreaking and it is still a mystery. It's been 3 years. Okay. They want to find Ryan. And I want to ask anyone with the information about Ryan's whereabouts, please contact the La Vista Police Department. Let's not let it be 25 and a half years like Mikelle's family. Okay. Call the La Vista Police Department at 402 331 1582. You can also follow the Facebook page, Where is Ryan Larsen? Okay. I am also, as I do after each show, ask you to please share the missing person flyers, which will be up on our social media. Guys, sharing it gets the word out. Just one little tip is all it will take. That one little tip leads to other tips, other pieces of the puzzle. Sometimes, for all we know, police could just be waiting on one little thing that makes it all come together. So please share it. Let's get the word out about Ryan and Mikelle. Now, I do not have a lighthearted story for you today. Today, for your palate cleanser, I thought I would share some of the nonprofits that communities can support, individuals can support to help families of the missing. And guys, when considering how to make an impact on the issue of missing persons, you want to support reputable nonprofits. And it is a powerful way to contribute. Okay. These organizations work tirelessly to provide resources, advocacy, and support to the families and the communities affected by the disappearance of loved ones. Okay. So here is some of the top nonprofits. Okay. As we all know, we have NCMEC, which is the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. They were founded in 1984. They have a 24-hour hotline and they have a cyber tip line. Also, remember, you can always give tips to fbi.gov/tips. Now, NCMEC says donations help fund their hotline, public education efforts, and support services for families. excuse me, you can also get involved by participating in awareness campaigns, going out to volunteer to do searches. If you hear in your local area that there's going to be an event for a missing person, don't feel like, oh, I don't know that person. Go anyway. You have no idea how much it means to the families. It means a lot. Now, Polaris is another one. They operate the National Human Trafficking Hotline, and they are a top leader in the fight against human trafficking, which, guys, it is closely linked to the issue of missing persons. We know that a lot of these individuals who have gone missing are being trafficked. It is a huge problem. They go hand in hand. I have had people tell me, oh, you don't know for sure that somebody could have just taken them for this. We do know that people are abducted and sex trafficked. It's not just little girls, it's boys, it's young ladies, it's young men, it's adult women, it's adult men. Okay. You can donate to Polaris to help them maintain their hotline and support victims of human trafficking. They also say you can educate yourself on the signs of trafficking. Okay. Not going to go into that, but there are some really great tips at their site. Now, the Doe Network. I love the Doe Network. They are a fully volunteer based organization and they assist law enforcement in solving cold cases of unidentified persons, often, as we know, referred to as Jane and John Doe. But by working with the database of missing persons and unidentified remains, the Doe Network strives and their goal is to bring closures to families by identifying these unknown individuals. So, in case you don't know, say for example, they're putting in a new subdivision somewhere. And while the construction crew is doing that, they unearth a remain and they see it. No one knows who the remain is. They can't identify it. The Doe Network works extensively to try to match them and to find out who they are, which is a big deal. Okay. Because a lot of the people that Doe Network has in their database are missing persons. And we could give closure to families if we could match them. So the Doe Network is amazing. Now, they do take donations. They also are looking for volunteers. If you like to donate your time and dig into things, if you think you're a sleuth and you've got the time and the skills, I say reach out to them. Another one is the Black and Missing Foundation. They were founded in 2008, and it addresses the issues of missing persons of color who, as we have learned, are often underrepresented in the media. And guys, they receive less attention from law enforcement. I know law enforcement's going to tell you that's not the case. I am going to go by statistics in history in saying I'm going to go on a limb and say 90% of the counties, it is treated different. Okay. So they also accept donations. They are also looking for people who want to help raise awareness about their organization. Another good one is the Aware Foundation. The Aware Foundation works to promote safety and prevent abductions through public awareness campaigns, advocacy, and educational programs. However, they also provide assistance to families of missing persons to help spread the word about the missing individuals through social media and other platforms. Guys, I want to tell you, it can happen to anyone. I can say no one in my personal family has gone missing. So I can't say I exactly know what it feels like. What I can say after getting so close to the Chase's family and learning so much about Chase, it breaks my heart. It is shocking how many of these missing persons do not get the attention in the media they deserve. And it's even worse for the Black community, also for the Indigenous community. Now, NamUs is the National Missing and Unidentified Persons System. It is funded by the U.S. Department of Justice, and it is an essential resource for anyone involved in missing person cases. Guys, I spend a lot of time in the NamUs database, okay? They provide technology, forensic services, and investigative support to the families and to law enforcement. Now, they do not solicit donations, but you can advocate in your community for greater use of NamUs. You can also support them by going to their database, finding individuals in your area, sharing the missing person flyers on your social media. You do not have to wait for me to cover them. You can go and do that. Okay. Now, the last one is CUE. The Center for Missing Person is dedicated to finding missing people, advocating for their families, and providing critical support during the search. They offer a range of services, including search and recovery operations, public awareness campaigns, and victim support services. They need volunteers in almost every community. So if you are looking to volunteer, one of these organizations is a great place to get started. I can tell you here in Texas, Texas EquiSearch and Texar are both great nonprofit organizations. Now, they do not work directly with the family. And what I mean by that is they do not go out and conduct a search on the family's request. They are brought in by law enforcement. They will, however, help guide you to work with law enforcement so that you can find your loved ones. So, guys, I'm going to tell you supporting nonprofits that work on the issue of missing person is a powerful way for us to not only find the individuals that are missing, but hopefully to prevent more individuals from going missing. So, whether it's through donations, volunteering, or spreading awareness, sharing the missing person flyers, that makes you an advocate. Okay, share it. All I am is an advocate. I share the stories because that's what I can do. So I'm asking all of you to please do what you can, share the flyers on the cases that we cover in any that you see in your area. Okay. And I want to thank you all for tuning in today. And I can't wait to see you on Monday for the next episode of Midday Missing, where we'll continue shedding light on those cases that need it. And I also want to remind you, you can join our growing community on our Facebook group and stay connected with us. We are on Facebook, TikTok, Instagram. We're everywhere. And if you are on our social medias, you'll see that we have some exciting things happening October 1st. It is literally the countdown. And guys, I am going to be out of the country on October 1st. And I'm kind of sad that it's going to be happening while I'm out of the country. But I'm also kind of excited that I'm going to get to be in another country and share with my colleagues about all of the exciting stuff that's happening for True Crime and Wine Time Productions on October 1st. So I also want to remind you every episode of the podcast True Crime and Wine Time is available anywhere you get your podcast. You can even ask, let me say her name and she's going to talk to me, Alexa, to play it. And she keeps track of the last episode you watched. I have started playing that for Jasper when he's upset because it helps calm him down when I leave the room. So just a little tidbit there. And you can see all of our productions on our YouTube channel. So I want to thank you all again. I hope you all have a great weekend. And I want to remind you all, okay, until next time, stay safe, watch out for crime, and enjoy your wine time.